I am always excited about every single thing and every single session so far. Thank you so much for all the great questions that have been coming in on Twitter. Of course, you can use hashtag .NETConf. And if we pick your question, you will be sent a Xamarin Monkey. So how cool is that? So don't forget to do that throughout all the sessions today. We have many more hours of content coming up. And don't forget, everything will be on demand later on. And we'll post that on the Xamarin blog, Channel 9, YouTube, everywhere where you get Xamarin stuff. Now I'm really excited because I have a brand new session that I've never done before. And it's between me and all my friends, all of you amazing developers out there building things in and for Xamarin. If you don't know who I am, I'm James Montemagno. I'm a Principal Program Manager Lead here at Microsoft. And I love mobile development with Xamarin. I host the Xamarin Show here. We tweet about it, blog about it, create samples. And I love the amazing work that the community is doing. So what I wanted to do today is show off that amazing work that the team's doing, the community members are doing as well. So this is a James Montemagno and Friends session. So I first want to talk about Xamarin Essentials and some of the work we're doing there. Xamarin Essentials is in the box. You get it with every file new project that you get. And what Xamarin Essentials does is it gives you access to over 60 native APIs for iOS, Android, Windows, and more from a single shared API. And that's really cool because if you want to access geolocation, phone dialer, email, vibration, connectivity, you can do all of that with just one API. So you don't have to learn it for each platform. It's completely open source, and we have amazing contributions from the community that we are continuously adding. Now last year, when we launched Xamarin Essentials, we started with iOS, Android, and UWP. And we quickly heard that developers wanted on more platforms. So we then added in watchOS, tvOS, and we worked with the Samsung team to add official Xamarin Essentials API support to the Tizen platform. We work closely with the community and our partners to ensure that when we're adding new features to the core, they get added to additional platforms. I'm also excited to announce that soon we'll be adding even more platforms to Xamarin Essentials, and we're starting next with macOS. So soon, you'll have a fully cross-platform API for not only your mobile applications, but also your desktop applications too. Truly, wherever your .NET applications can run, that's where we want to be. So right now, we just recently launched version 1.5, which I'm really excited about. It has theme detection, platform extensions, a cross-platform permissions API, and even a web authenticator API to enable you to log in with OAuth with a few lines of code. It's also based on Android X for the brand new Android 10 if you're targeting that. Same with xamarin.forms. Now, we'll be working on 1.6 next, which will add macOS support, which is near finally in the open PR on GitHub. But we'll also be adding file pickers, contacts, and calendars. We've worked closely with developers in the community, and these are community contributions that we've been iterating on them for the last few months, and we're ready to pull them in to the core of Xamarin Essentials. So be on the lookout for that. But it's not about just all the great things that we're working on here. We love the community, and I love the community and all the great work that all of you are doing. So what I wanted to do today is something a little bit different. I asked all of my amazing friends out there on Twitter, on GitHub, and through all my emails that you've all sent me throughout the years to highlight your projects, the things that you're working on. You're going to see some amazing open source projects from the Xamarin team, but also community developers around the world. And I first want to start about with some amazing libraries that developers just sent me. They said, hey, I'm using this in my Xamarin app. Why don't you show it off? So I said, sure. First one's from Sean, which is Expressive, which is this awesome .NET API. It works in any .NET application that it enables you to evaluate expressions. So here he's doing 1 plus 1, and it's going to evaluate an integer to return 3, or 1 plus 2 to return 3, which is really cool. It's really extensible, completely open source. Next, all right, here we go. MVVM Atom from my good friend Samir, who works here at Microsoft now, which is really awesome. It's sort of a minimum base class MVVM with commands and navigation service. You wanted to get the maximum done in the most minimum amount of time. So it allows you to do custom commands and things like that for your MVVM. Next up, HTTP Tracer. This is from Dylan, Daniel, and Chase. Really, really cool stuff. I get asked all the time, hey, I'm making HTTP requests. How do I debug that? How long does it take? Well, HTTP Tracer does that. It works with any .NET application and your Xamarin apps. It's sort of like a fiddler for those applications. You can trace your responses, your requests, output it to the console, which is what you're seeing here. Best of all, completely open source. In fact, everything I'm showing you, completely open source. AnyBind, Alexander sent this one in. I really like this. I didn't know this is the best part. I didn't know half of this stuff existed, so sending it in is awesome. This AnyBind helps improve the binding situation to get rid of those on-property changes. It's really cool. What he does is he simply comes in, he shows you kind of the before here with adding events for property change, having to propagate up on property change notifications. And here on the right-hand side, after, just simply initializes the dependency manager, adds these little attributes on top, and the magic happens. Tiny insights from Daniel out there, which is awesome. This is really cool if you're using any analytics, so App Center, App Insights, or Google Analytics. It abstracts it into a common API that you can access from your shared code. You can even add your own custom providers. So if you're not satisfied with what's out there, you're using your own backend, it's really, really easy. So here there's a little tracker that you initialize. You can set up dependency trackers, what you're calling, and you can send that into the backend. It's really, really nice. So no matter what you're using, and multiple providers too. So I love that, because sometimes you're sending data to multiple sources. And I really, really like this to give you insights into your apps. Now, when you go beyond Xamarin Essentials, which sometimes you may want deeper integration in the OS, you can always access those APIs, but there are amazing community projects out there that deliver some of this great functionality. So not only did I ask the amazing developers and all of you to send me your suggestions, I said, hey, why don't you make a video for me? So I have a few here that I want to play back for you. And the first is Alan Ritchie and his amazing Shiny project. I use Shiny in my applications to do all sorts of good stuff. Check him out on GitHub and the Shiny org as well. But I'm going to let him talk about it because he deserves it, because he helped build it. So here we go.
Hi, my name's Alan Ritchie. I've been working with Xamarin and .NET for many years. I'm a former Xamarin MVP and a current Microsoft MVP. Over the last few years, I've contributed many open source components to help developers get stuff done, with a total of almost 4 million NuGet downloads to date. I love being a part of the Xamarin and .NET community, and today I'm going to talk about my latest open source contribution to the community called Shiny. Traditionally, background services can be quite difficult to write and even harder to bring your shared code and services to them. No one likes to write spaghetti code or untestable code. Forget about a good cross-platform solution to this. Until now. Enter Shiny. Shiny fixes all these scenarios and makes it really easy for you to write this code fast that runs across all of the Xamarin platforms. By bringing a solid dependency injection architecture, Shiny allows you to get your backend done quickly, freeing you up to create beautiful user experiences and innovative applications. Shiny is a framework that has several libraries and utilities for you to use, such as periodic background jobs, geofencing, background GPS, motion activity recognition, local notifications, push notifications, Bluetooth LE client and server modes, BLE beacon detection, and more to come in the future. As the standard process, pick out the NuGets you need to install. Each of the NuGet packages does contain a baseline set of instructions to help get you started. Shiny, like xamarin.forms and Xamarin Essentials, does require some boilerplate code. Because Shiny uses dependency injection, we do need a general type of startup file. If you've used ASP.NET Core, this should look familiar to you. You'll notice that we've registered a background job with some criteria, a notifications module with categories and actions, and some geofencing. We'll take a look at how we handle the events for these modules shortly. This file is also where you want to register your own services and code so that Shiny can use them in the background events. iOS is pretty straightforward when it comes to the boilerplate code. Everything is done in app delegate and any permissions that you normally need to get set up in the info plist. Nothing new here, but a couple lines of code. As you can see, Shiny wires in using extension methods. This is to make the plug points a little easier for you to discover during development. Android, on the other hand, is a bit more complicated. Shiny needs to initialize before everything. Note the use of the main application here. This is something that is a bit different versus Essentials and Forms. Behind the scenes, Shiny uses broadcast receivers, which, when run in the background, will be starting the app in a cold state without ever hitting your main activity, and thus going through the normal xamarin.forms application lifecycle you're used to. Lastly, there are a few touch points here in the main activity to enable things like notification entry, interception, and permission requests. Finally, let's take a look at our background job code. Note the constructor injection of the notification manager. You can basically DI whatever you registered in your startup file here. In this job, we're not doing anything crazy, just sending out a notification. Things you could do with background jobs are things like synchronizing offline data to and from your server, maybe cleaning up a local database, maybe sending some reminder notifications later in the day. Note that jobs are periodic, not scheduled. Android is generally pretty good about running roughly every 15 minutes. iOS is a bit more intelligent and will run shortly before the user is known to use the app. The OS is essentially being trained by the user when they like to use your application during the day. Let's take a look at some geofencing. Geofencing allows you to monitor for when your user is entering or exiting a circular region from a center point. Geofencing has several great scenarios like welcoming a user to a certain location. In the startup file, I registered a geofence for Toronto, Canada's CN Tower. When the user gets roughly a mile away from the CN Tower, we'll send a notification welcoming the user and attach a category, we'll cover that in a couple slides, which will allow the user to interact with the notification. We can also use a different set of actions based on if the user is leaving the geofence. For now, we'll just say goodbye. Here's a couple screenshots showing our triggered geofence running. Note the welcome response and how the app responds with another notification without ever entering the application. Let's take a look at how we accomplish that. This is the notifications delegate. From here, I'm able to catch events for when the notification is actually being sent and when the user has interacted with one of your notifications. The on-entry event here is where I'm responding to the user interaction from the geofence notification. If the user chose to leave a message, I'll simply respond to them saying that their message is recorded. If they wanted a free ticket, we'll just let them know that we've received their request. Because the methods are traditional .NET tasks, you could also choose to interact with your backend here to provide some additional business logic. Looks pretty simple, doesn't it? So that's a quick look at Shiny. I hope you like what you saw. Be sure to check out the links below for the latest developments and modules that are being worked on. Thanks for watching.
There you have it. Shiny to accomplish so much more. Geofencing, background notifications, and syncing, everything that you could possibly want. And that's amazing work being done by Alan. I cannot thank him enough for him and all the contributors to the project. I use it in my applications, and I hope that you find it useful too. Now, sometimes it's not just about libraries in the application. It's about extensions. It's about build time of your application. And I asked my good friend, one of my best friends in the entire world, Jonathan Dick, who you may know as Reth on the internet. I work closely with him here on the Xamarin team, specifically on Xamarin Essentials, and he's tackling how to properly get different image sizes from a single source. Everyone knows images, different sizes, different platforms. He's going to show off Resizetizer NT in his project, so let's check it out.
Hey James, hey everyone, this is John Dick here. You may better know me as Redth on the internet or on Twitter. And today I wanted to share with you quickly just a little something I've been working on to make cross-platform images in your Xamarin apps a lot easier. So if you've ever done images before in your Xamarin apps, you know that it can be kind of a pain. So if you have your Android app, and I've got a new solution here that's just a xamarin.forms app, it's got an Android app, it's got an iOS app, it's got a UWP app, and if I want to add an image to this, I've got to go into my resources, I've got to resize it for all the different display densities that exist for Android devices, and when I'm done doing that, I've got to go into my iOS project, and I've got to resize everything for all of the different display densities for it, so I've got like the normal image, the 2x image, the @3x image, And finally, if I come down to UWP and I do the same thing, I've got a bunch of different assets. I've got a scale 100, a scale 200, a 400, etc., etc. That's a lot of images to have to resize. And so I've made a quick plugin that lets you share your images from your shared code project. So if you go today and install resizetizer.nt, go install this to all your different projects, including your shared code project. And then what I'm going to show you here is I'm going to take a vector image, an SVG, and I'm going to drag it into my shared code project here. And you'll see this pop in. It's a Xamagon, it's an SVG, it's a lovely image. Now what I need to do is go to its properties, and I need to set it as a shared image type. And then this is a build action that Resizetizer adds for you. So I go and set this as a shared image. And when I'm done with this, I can actually go into my project file, my shared project file, and I'm going to go ahead and set another attribute on here called base size. And this is going to be the size of the image that I want to specify in my code. Now, because this is a vector, we actually have to know what your normal resolution, what your 1x iOS resolution, your MDPI Android resolution, your scale 100 resolution for UWP is, so that we can make the right sizes for all the other different display densities. So I go ahead and I save this, I add my base size, and now in my apps I can actually reference this in all my app head projects just using, now this is a vector, so we'll resize it for you and it will actually output as a PNG file. So I'm going to go ahead and reference this as xamagon.png. So let's go into our shared project here, let's get rid of this label, and let's add an image, and let's call it xamagon.png. We'll center it, horizontal options will be centered to, and then finally we've got to go give it our width request, which is going to be 100, and our height request, which will be 100. Now remember, that's the size we set in our CS project, our shared project, as the base size. So now I've got this thing, I can go ahead and build my app. Let's start it off on iOS. And you'll see it launch in the simulator here in a second, and we'll run, and we should have a lovely Xamagon image, yep, nicely in our view here. That's great. And you'll notice that if we look at our resources, it didn't actually add it to our resources here. It's actually adding it to our resources in the output folder, in the intermediate output. So if I go into the output folder here in the OBJ folder for iPhone Simulator, we can go into this folder called Resizetizer, and we can see all the different display density versions of that image were created for us as PNGs. They were included into the build automatically. We didn't have to add anything specifically to those projects. So that's pretty cool. And the same is true for Android, for UWP. It now supports WPF, and it will be supporting Tizen soon as well. So we support a lot of different platforms. Now we'll just run the Android version quick here, and as we're doing that, we'll just check out the fact that, you know, we don't see any resources built into these folders for the Xamagon. They all exist at runtime, just built into your app automatically for you, all from this one little include shared image item in your project. So the Android app is launching now, and we should see it pop up here in a second. And there it is. That's great. We have the Android app with the Xamagon in there, and everything works just fine. Now we could start the UWP app as well. And there we go, the icon's in our UWP app as well. So this is called Resizetizer NT. This is a new plugin I've made. It's in pre-release now. Go give it a shot, try it out on NuGet, install it into all your projects, and let me know how it goes. Thanks.
That thing is absolutely astonishing. The first time John showed it to me, it blew my mind. I was like, I need to have this, and we need to share it with the world. So check out Resizetizer NT and give us feedback on the project. I know John would love it. Now let's hop over to the UI. I've shown you some amazing libraries from developers out there for your Xamarin applications, and some plugins into Visual Studio to help you with images, such as Resizetizer. Now, when you're building applications, there's tons in the box. We've had some great sessions about building beautiful applications, and there's a lot more out there. Sometimes you need things that are super duper custom, and you could build them yourself, but there's amazing companies in the Xamarin and xamarin.forms ecosystem that are making awesome toolkits with tons of controls built into them. Now, I could talk about them all day, but I challenged every single one of the amazing control vendors out there to highlight their amazing tool set in just 30 seconds each. So let's hop over to the video and check them out.
Can we explain why you should be using Syncfusion Xamarin controls in just 30 seconds? Well, let's find out. Essential Studio for Xamarin's most comprehensive suite of Xamarin UI controls. Controls that include our high-performance data grid that helps you to efficiently display and manipulate large amounts of data, our seamless list view with features such as swiping, multiple orientations, pull to refresh, grouping, and more, and our gallery of 30+ charts that cater to all charting scenarios. Plus, you can implement them all in easy-to-use XAML templates from our Xamarin UI kit. Want to try them out for yourself? Download a free trial at syncfusion.com/Xamarin. Whew, made it.
Putting together that video was absolutely amazing. Seeing all of the videos come in, combining them up with the awesome music, I literally was just playing that over and over again at home. I don't know how my wife put up with me. But truly, there is something out there for any single application that you're building to help you build beautiful applications. Now, these amazing control vendors are building the most complex, amazing, awesome things possible, and there's also great work being done in the community. So I asked a few of my friends, some that already presented today, to show off more awesomeness. A few awesome projects out there, Magic Gradients, helping you put XAML gradients and C# gradients absolutely everywhere from Marcin and Bowden. Absolutely stunning, built on top of Skia Sharp. The UI color picker control out there from Udara, being able to easily pick a color with just a single XAML snippet in your app. Xam animation, Javier presented earlier today, easily enabling you to add in animations into your Xamarin applications, all from XAML or code behind. Super duper awesome, completely open source. Sheet control, this is an awesome one from Havard, who also was tweeting today. A lot of people are asking about sheet control. He spent a lot of hard work on this. It's really awesome to see how easy it is to add these sheet controls into your application. Xamarin is a full different tool set out there from Mohammed with progress, switch, toggle bars, radio buttons, all awesome, being built on top of xamarin.forms to add to your applications. Now, I also asked a few good friends to make another short video. Steven presented earlier today. He talked a little bit about Pancake View and debug rainbows, but I asked him to go a little bit more in depth, so here he is.
Hi there, my name is Steven Thewissen, and I'm here to give you a quick overview of some of the NuGet packages that I've created for xamarin.forms over the last year. The first package I'd like to show you is Pancake View, which, despite its quirky name, is a really useful control. Using the built-in xamarin.forms controls, it can be hard to create views that use shadows or gradients or borders. There are a few built-in controls available that implement some of these things, like a frame for example. But what Pancake View does is it combines it all into a single simple to use control. So let's take a look at what options we have available. For that I will open the accompanying sample app. You can find that in the repo, and it has a built-in page with all the options that it has. And what I especially like, besides these options we are showing here, is the debug mode, which allows you to play around with the control itself by adjusting all these sliders and exploring all the options that way. So we have gradients, we have multicolored gradients, we can adjust angles on them, we can add borders in all sorts of shapes and forms, so dashed or maybe a gradient as well, and the angle of that can also be adjusted. It supports corner radius, so a uniform corner radius for every corner, all the way up to making it a circle. Or we can also do, if we want to, individually rounded corners. We can add shadows in multiple fashions, so either using elevation, which is an Android thing, or just a regular shadow. It also clips its content automatically, so it doesn't really matter what type of borders or corners you add, the content is always clipped. And we can also make it into a multi-cornered element, so maybe a hexagon or a triangle if we really want to. And corner radius is also influencing that, so we can create all sorts of crazy shapes, and we can also rotate that shape around. So it offers a lot of freedom in that regard. It has a lot of options, and it can really help you quickly get started on making a beautiful user interface. Next up is debug rainbows. If you're creating user interfaces in xamarin.forms, you've probably come across the scenario where you've changed the background color on an element to identify the space that it consumes on the page, or maybe to debug a positioning issue. And debug rainbows can help you with those kinds of issues. So essentially what the package does is give you a few additional attached properties that you can set on your content pages to enable different kinds of debug views. And I have downloaded a sample made by Kim Philpotts, hijacked his styles and added all of the debug rainbow styles in here. The sample app normally looks like this, which looks pretty great. And if we enable debug rainbows, it becomes much more colorful. But this helps you identify where all the different elements are, where they're positioned, and how they align compared to one another. On the topic of alignment, debug rainbows also offers a alignment grid, which helps you figure out if everything is aligned evenly. So it allows you to create all these major and minor grid lines. You can adjust all the properties related to it, so colors, opacities, the interval of how many major grid lines you want, and it really helps you align your items evenly. When combining this with hot reload, you can really speed up your dev loop when figuring out those nasty layouting issues, or you can just use it to create pretty colorful pictures. Wraps up this little quick summary of all the packages that I've built over the last year. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see each other soon.
Awesome. I love Pancake View and Debug Rainbows. I use it in like every single application I build. Hope you find it super useful. I also challenged Steven to put the grid on there, and he totally did it. It's from one of my favorite packages from, I think, Jeff Wilcox that did it back in the day on a bunch of different platforms. So really cool to see this work from the amazing community. Now next up, a library near and dear to a lot of our developers' heart is Skia Sharp. Some of you may not even know about Skia Sharp, so I asked Matthew Leibowitz from Africa, one of our amazing developers here, to give a little brief overview of what Skia Sharp is, what you can build with it, and also some amazing libraries built with it. So let me go ahead and show off this.
Hello world. I am Matthew Leibowitz, a software engineer for Microsoft, and I'm based in South Africa. I have the honor of working on many different libraries and tools for all the developers in the community, and not only do I get to work on them, but I get to see the cool and exciting things that are made with those tools. One of my favorite libraries of all time is Skia Sharp, an open source, cross-platform 2D drawing library that enables you to do anything when it comes to graphics, animations, or UI. It is based on the amazing open source work done by the folks at Google on the Skia project. Skia is used in many things such as Android, Chrome, and Firefox. I then take their code, wrap it in a pretty package, add a few extra APIs, make it work great with .NET, and ensure that it runs on Android, iOS, UWP, macOS, Windows, Linux, and more. You can check out the code for Skia Sharp on github.com/mono/Skia Sharp. And speaking of amazing things done by the community, I just wanted to take the time to show off some of the great things that is being done with Skia Sharp by the folks in the community. The first cool example I'd like to show off is Balloony by Shan Muka. It's a cool little slider where the balloon wobbles back and forth using Skia Sharp to draw the balloon. The next is a library called Magic Gradients by Marcin that adds shadings, backgrounds, or gradients or patterns to pages and views. You can add it in code or in XAML or even use CSS to style it. Another very cool library I'd like to show off is Microcharts, originally written by Eloise. It allows you to add all sorts of colorful graphs and charts into your app to represent any sort of data that your app may be using or you want to show to the user. The last library I'd like to show off is MapSui. This is an awesome cross-platform mapping component that you can drop into your desktop or mobile applications. Just look how smooth this map renders. And this is just the CPU renderer. And now I'd like to move on from individual controls to entire control galleries built on top of Skia Sharp, such as Aurora controls, with their buttons, gauges, gradients, and even a fun confetti control. Another awesome control library is EliteKit with all their buttons, steppers, and other various progress bars that you can add into your app. If we go from libraries and control galleries to entire applications, Wishlaw has a really cool project called Draw2D. This is a multi-platform 2D diagram editor that allows you to create and edit 2D diagrams. I hope you enjoyed looking at some of the things made by the folks in the community. Maybe some of your stuff was shown, maybe you were inspired to do some cool things, but I hope you would check out Skia Sharp. Don't forget to hit up github.com/mono/Skia Sharp. See you around.
Awesome to see all the amazing things built with Skia Sharp and all the amazing libraries that are built on top of it and the awesome things you can do to your application. Now, last and not least, I couldn't talk about awesome controls without talking about my good friend Jean-Marie. Jean-Marie is an amazing developer building awesome things. Mr. Sharpenato himself, I'm just going to let him explain all the awesome things that he's building to use in your applications.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jean-Marie Alfonsi speaking for Sharpenato. Sharpenato.com is a blog about mainly xamarin.forms, but also a bit of C# and a tiny bit of Monty Pythons. Behind Sharpenato, this is just me, a French software developer, working as a freelance. So if you want to build flabbergasting app, you can contact me and we'll make this happen. But today it's about the community, and I will talk about my components that you can find on NuGet, and I will start with the horizontal list view. So it's really self-explainable, you know. And what you can do about the horizontal list view is set the column count, for example. So now you have 3 items for pages. But if you set the column count to 1, you achieve a carousel layout, in fact. Which is cool about the horizontal list view is that it recycle all the items, just like the collection view. And you can also change the layout of the horizontal list view and have a grid. Now you have a grid with 3 columns, for example, or if you set to 1 column, you have now a list view. Which is really cool also about the horizontal list view is that you can drag and drop items. Now if I can take my father Ted and put it all the way up, or I can take my Steve Carell here and put it all the way down. Okay. Now I will jump straight to the tabs, the pure xamarin.forms tabs. And so we have a lot of different tabs here, all the different style you can imagine, like the bottom tab item, this one, or the underline tab item, like this one, which are fixed types. But you also have scrollable tabs and custom tabs. You can style them, you can change the color, you can change the font, everything. But which is really cool about it, it's we can also create your own tab item by inheriting from tab item. Look at those spam and this animation here. We can play a bit with the tabs you see here. We can just go to the scrollable tabs, and yes, it's working, no problem here. Now I will be talking about my favorite component, the task loader view. It's my favorite one because it will remove a lot of boilerplate code, and it will also prevent a lot of crashes. The main promise of task loader view is to free yourself from is busy equal true, so it's a bit mysterious. To understand it more, we will launch the Retronedo app, and we will want to achieve this, you know, a little loading spinner with a result view here, a list of games, and if there's an error, we will show an error view to the user. This is what we want. Now to do this, we have our view model here, and all these properties like is busy. If you set is busy to true, you will see the spinner. If it's as error is true, you will see the error view. All kind of things here. For sure, you have a retro gaming service. You will retrieve your games from it, and we have our load method that will run this code, and which is a nothing void method. We'll just start with the properties and then load the initialization and catch all the exception. And all those properties will be bound to our XAML. So we have the result view here, the loading view here, with an activity indicator and the error view as a stack layout. So this is what you saw earlier. If we use the task loader view, all is really simple now. You just have task loader view and that's it. And in it, you just have your result view. And all the other loading states are embedded in it. It's the same in the view model. If you use a task loader notifier, you just give him the initialization code and it will take care of everything. You see, is busy is gone. All the properties are gone. Everything is taken care of thanks to composition. So it's really great. Now, if you look at the documentation, you can see that it features many things like default states. So there's already different views that are implemented in the task loader view. Default one, like the error view, is just an image with a text. It's stylable. You can put any font you like. For example, here it's the Atari ST font. But you can also use your own custom view by overriding the loading states. You see how you do it here, loading state. You just override the views and you put your own, so you can achieve really all the design you want. But there are more to it. You can also use skeleton loading thanks to a RUS package. but also Logi animation. So there's really anything you can do with the task loader view. So guys, I think that's all for me. Have a great .NET Conf and see you soon on Sharpnado. Bye guys.
I want to first say thank all of you for being part of this amazing Xamarin community, building libraries, building on top of what the team builds, and also just sending your pull requests and your feature requests in. You all made it easy for me to put together this presentation because all of you together in this amazing community help other developers build beautiful, stunning applications. We couldn't do this alone. We do it as one big happy .NET and Xamarin family. I want to thank everyone. I want to make a shout out to all the different awesome projects that I highlighted here and the amazing component vendors. I believe we have time for just 3 questions. So I'm going to head over to the board here really quick, and Oli is helping me out by picking some good ones. First one's from Rob Wilson. Again, he says, does Xamarin Essentials support GPS location capture with long-running stuff via background services? As of today, it doesn't. Of course, Xamarin does, so you could go and access those APIs yourself on iOS and Android. But you should also look what Alan Ritchie is doing, because he's already built this library, included inside of Shiny, to do background updates and notifications as well. You can combine the two together if you want, or use the amazing open source libraries that are out there. And we are looking at integrating some of that stuff into the project, so check out the GitHub issues as well. Next from Ali, he says, great presentation, James. Why, thank you. He said, why isn't camera or gallery added to Xamarin Essentials, or will it be added? It's a great question. You know, we're actively talking to developers all the time, seeing what you need for your applications, and we're adding those continuously into Xamarin Essentials. Now, Xamarin Essentials, since we support so many platforms and it's included inside the templates, we have to be rock solid that the functionality is super complete and well tested. We run hundreds of UI tests and unit tests on our app on Xamarin Essentials itself. Now, that said, our big focus is actually on file-based access. We started with sharing files, emailing files, SMSing files, and the next version you'll see file pickers, which is going to start to get into the camera picker, video picker controls. Those are very, very complex controls out there, or APIs I should say, but we are looking to integrate them over time. But again, just because it's not in Xamarin Essentials doesn't mean there's not an awesome library out there that can already do it, such as the media plugin or some other plugins out there. All right, last one here. Luis says, .NET Conf, hey James. Hey Luis. When can we try gradients with Xamarin Forms? You can do it today. In fact, I showed you some amazing libraries from the community, including Magic Gradients and the Pancake View. I use gradients in all my applications today. Now, Xamarin Forms itself is adding it into the box, different controls. I believe it's added in the next version, the one after, but you can check out the pull requests and even download a NuGet from that PR. Again, I want to thank every single one of you for being part of this amazing Xamarin and .NET community, for building these awesome libraries, and for letting me show off all of your hard work. Go build beautiful applications with these amazing libraries. Now let's head back over to Olia now for our next session.